take these like 12 and flip it. I think BYU set for a breakout year. They didn't lose much from last year. Who's the last team from UCLA? It's ridiculous. Of course not. That could be right. Auburn, TCU, non-powerful. I don't like my non. I don't mind non-powerful TCU. I refuse to be partial. They could have 40 of them. So this would be the first full season. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is the 18th season of Kansas. Still no respect. 18 seasons been doing this, and still just no respect. Good. I haven't done it yet. I will go on like Thursday. I wait until like the actual. I don't count weeks here because one always seems to be UCLA. But it to me is week 1 is not. I label it week 1 as a hated game. That's what I label it as. So I have my top. Actually, yeah. I have my top. I've got my top 5. I've got my top 5. I don't know if I've ever hit the line of OU number 1 in 12 years. Since like saying that tomorrow. Under Baker, Kyler, and Ruben, they would have been up there, but never won. Probably number 2. Actually, let's find out. I really. So what was Baker's last year? It was 2017. 17. So let's find it. 2017. See if it was ever. Yes, I looked at I have the hard copies of 2015. Before getting 15 is on here, yeah. What do you mean? Like these? I probably should. I probably should. Oh, I didn't know you.
We need to get rid of all this crap. House cleaning up here. All right. All right, welcome back to in-person press conferences. Good to be back. Good to have y'all in here today, and it's obviously good to be into game week, and players are excited, extremely excited to go down to Houston, play a good Houston team, great venue in front of a lot of Red Raiders. So with that, I'll go ahead and open it up for some questions.
Matt, what did Sir Roderick Thompson's last medical evaluation show?
Same as what we've seen. Don, everything's healing, everything's trending the right direction. He's day to day. Nothing's changed from when I said he was a game time decision.
I don't think anyone's asked about this. In terms of the long snapper Jackson Knox, what has he kind of shown for us in play long snapper at that point at a very important position for y'all?
Just consistency, good times, very accurate. He's got the ability to cover. He can run. And, it's been good. It's been consistent. Won the job.
I guess what allowed y'all to kind of feel like Jonathan was the guy for kicker? Was it consistency? I guess what were some of the parameters?
Yeah, a little bit more consistent in camp. Trey's been a little bit better in kickoffs in camp. Consistency, hang time, distance, all those things kind of put together. So it's been a good competition, and we'll continue to. I mean, they go at it, and we chart them all, and we always kick 2 from every location. So, Jonathan's the guy to start with field goals, and Trey will be the guy for kickoffs, and then obviously Austin with punting.
With that having been a competition that was, I assume, was pretty close throughout camp, is that one where when you have Garibay in the game, if he misses one, does that become a fluke
Nah, Eric, Eric, I can't answer that. I mean, you're not going to miss one and pull a guy. I mean, you're not going to do that. Shatter kids' confidence doing that stuff. So certainly you evaluate them, though. So they need to perform just like, the guys on offense and on defense. So certainly need to do that, and we're always evaluating. But I'm not going to pull a guy after one miss.
Coach, you said a few weeks ago that this was your best preseason camp since you had been here. Does that give you a little bit more confidence going into game one maybe than in years past?
Well, that gives me confidence, certainly, but also the thing that gives me confidence is the amount of games played by the guys that we're playing with on both sides of the ball, whether here at Texas Tech or at other schools. I would say that we do have an older presence. We have a veteran team. A lot of guys have played, in big games and Division I games, and that's what I draw confidence on, that and that it was a really good camp. Now, we're also playing an opponent that, Houston's done a nice job of upgrading their roster, and they've gotten older too. Certainly they've got guys that are transfers coming in, a center, a tight end, wildcat kind of guy. But they've added some experience as well. And so I think when you're able to do that through the transfer portal, I think in early games those guys need to play well early in the season, and that's what I have confidence in.
Would you say Houston's experience then, or what would you say is their biggest strength that y'all have been preparing?
I do think they have experience. They've got older guys that have played in games. They've got a returning quarterback that started, I think, just a little bit less than 20 games, almost a 20-game starter. So I know that that's certainly a strength for them. I think those two corners are legit. They're really good players. And I think the punt returner's one of the best in the nation, and he's proven that. They've got a strong D-line. They've got weapons. They've got skill that when they get the ball in their hand, they're dangerous, and they're a good team. They really are. And I think when you add older guys like they have, that certainly adds to their mix and makes them an older team.
You mentioned his experience, but what's the book on Houston quarterback Clayton Tune?
Just accuracy, throws the ball well. I remember when he came out of Hebron, very well coached high school, great high school program. Brian Brazel there at Hebron Hawk. But just Clayton, playing in games and having success like he's had, I think, he certainly has confidence, I would assume, but, he's just accurate, throws a good ball, throws different kinds of balls. He's got an arm strength to throw it down the field. So, I think those are the things that make him good.
You mentioned their defensive line. How do you feel like your offensive line stacks up against their defensive line?
It'll be a good matchup. I think that's certainly, Jarrett, one of the keys to the game is protecting the quarterback on both sides of the ball. As we all know in openers, those QBs are getting hit for the first time in 9 months. And so I think protection of the quarterback is key for both sides of the ball. For both teams.
Specifically, your defensive line, Devin Drew, how have you seen him progress since he's been here and now he's listed as a starter?
Yeah, Devin really played well as the year went on last year, typical of junior college transfers that come in late. And, played well down the stretch. I thought he played very well in the month of November, and he's gotten bigger, he's gotten stronger, and he's had a good camp. So we expect big things out of Devin.
I think they've had a couple of seniors on that offensive line, at least one at tackle. How do you kind of compare your depth at the defensive line, how they can kind of go up against a veteran guy like they have on that corner?
Well, I think we've got 6 guys that we feel good about up front, maybe 7. We'll see. So I think certainly, as Coach Randolph rolls those guys, keeping them fresh, they do need to be active. They need to play well off the edge and, get after the quarterback. You got to try to move quarterbacks off their launch point. We all know that. And, again, like I said, the O-line and D-line matchup for both teams will be a key part of this game.
Coach, I know you talked about kind of the rallying cry that's come around, just, taking it personal and the fans rallying this season, everything to come up against adversity. Specifically, how does that apply to this first game being the Texas kickoff, kind of the game in the state right now, and playing an in-state rival, at the Texan Stadium? How does that really raise the significance even of that first game?
Well, I think you have typical first game emotion You know, I think that's certainly something that I want our guys to embrace. They're ready to play. It's been a long 9 months and long training camp, and so you have those things that are normal. And then I think you play a really good in-state opponent, get your attention on tape. You play in a venue that's awesome. You know you're going to play in front of a lot of Texas Tech fans, and we're going to show out and have a lot of fans there. And so we expect that to be loud and you know, a lot of Red Raiders there. So I think that all just adds to it, to be honest with you. And you have a really good opponent like Houston that's well coached. That you know, just adds to a big time matchup in, you know, first game of the year.
Coach, when you look at the Cougars defense, what jumps out to your attention?
Yeah, I think same things I mentioned a while ago. 2 legit corners, depth at D-line. I think they've got really good D-linemen. You know, they've got some solid players at backer. You know, 2's a good player. You know, 0, 31 last year, can rush. And in those 2 corners, you know, they play man. They got good man coverage skills. They got some rangy safeties. And, you know, I just think those are the highlights. But, you know, those guys are talented, especially outside on the edge. And, you know, I'm sure the D coordinator from coaching those guys is confident in their ability.
And with Tyler coming in, not seeing any of these defenses before, what are some of the things that you guys are coaching him on how to prepare for Big 12 teams in this non-conference schedule specifically?
Well, I don't know about that. That's a good question, but I mean, you know, we recruited Tyler for who he is and how smart he is and the kind of football junkie that he is, and so certainly was well aware of him not seeing 12 defenses while we were recruiting him. That's not a factor. You know, starting in the Pac-12 last year for the first time, he's seeing new things and new teams because they've got different coordinators at the programs than the year before when he was the backup to Herbert. So that's part of playing quarterback and changing leagues.
Is it going to be helpful at all for some of those defensive backs going up against a guy in Keyshawn who they've, you know, gone up against plenty of times in practice before, now with him listed as a starter for UH?
Yeah, I think that's one of the fun things about this game is there's a lot of high school teammates, a lot of high school rivals. Certainly you've got guys that they've played against and with that are in the game. And you do that in the state of Texas, not only guys that used to be here at Texas Tech, but high school. You know, there'll be a lot of matchups in that game that those guys have gone against each other before, not just in college, but in high school.
Do you have an idea of, obviously with Sir Roderick, a game time decision, with Xavier and Taj, is it kind of just both being listed as that backup running back right now? Is it kind of a game time decision there as well in terms of who would be that first guy off the bench to get those kinds of reps?
I think you'll see all the running backs play.
So how does, I know this was kind of asked before, but how does Houston specifically prepare you for the Big 12? What about them you think could really translate and get you guys ready in these first few games?
Well, their skill. They got really good skill. They've, you know, I think their speed. They got 2 really good tight ends. I anticipate those guys being really good players. And so you got a quarterback that's a veteran. You know, I think all of that. But it's game 1, and then you've got 2 more non-league games to get ready, you know, for the stretch of the Big 12. So they all play a part in it. But certainly Houston and their talent level is big right out of the gate for us.
You mentioned the tight ends, one of them being Seth Reed mentioned.
Yeah.
Do you prepare for him any different, considering, you can see him potentially a quarterback?
Yeah, I think you're certainly well aware of what he's done at Minnesota as well as in high school. You know, we know that, just like they know about our guys in our program. So you know that, and I think you study it and you talk about it and prepare to a certain degree, but it's not like you're changing your game plan.
Any other questions?
You have players that are on scholarship. How does that feel giving opportunities for those players?
Yeah, you know, it's one of the best days to ever be a head coach, is to see dreams realized and goals met for those 4 young men. we have a lot of walk-ons that come here as non-scholarship players that are very well deserving and hard workers, but those guys have just kind of risen above a little bit this year, and in training camp they're playing on multiple special teams. They've gotten themselves into two deep, so to be able to award them it was neat, and I think it's neat in how we did it with Sonny, because that was Sonny's a little bit of his story of being a walk-on for so many years, and I think it's also inspiration to those other walk-ons and non-scholarship kids that, being patient and continuing to work hard and continuing to overcome and finding ways to climb up the depth chart and stick around and improve are certainly, inspiration to them in terms of them trying to get scholarships too someday. But that Saturday night was a neat night for those guys.
Coach, personnel question on Rico. I know you have a lot of depth at linebacker, played at Sam last year, majority. I guess what allowed y'all to kind of move him to Mike and just kind of see what he has.
Yeah, Rico can play all three backer spots. Krishan can play a couple. Schooler can play all three. Randall can play two of them. Morgie, well, he's a Duke grad. He'd tell you he could play all of them. Kosai can play a couple. Kosai has played a couple and a couple safety spot, one safety spot. That's how Coach Cosgrove and Coach Patterson move those guys around. They cross-train them, just like we do O-linemen.
Should we expect to see Rico, Krishan, and Colin all starting?
That'd be a good bunch.
And then in terms of Eric Monroe, I talked to you about him before. You said you weren't sure where you were going to play him, but then on the depth chart, he was listed as spur. What makes you
Eric's the same way. We were always trying to get your best guys on the field, and Keith cross-trains those safeties in different spots. So depending on if a guy gets hurt or needs a break, those guys can move around back there. So I'm sure you'll see him in a couple different spots, to be honest with you.
Is Seth Collins back?
He's back.
What did he have?
Yep, he's back.
What did he have?
He didn't have anything. Like injury?
Well, I saw him out there not practicing a couple of days.
Seth's been here 7 years. He's had not been here 7 years. He's been in college football 7 years. True statement. Y'all shouldn't laugh at that. That's true. This is his 7th opening game of his career. It's pretty cool. And he's played QB, receiver, and safety, and all special teams. Cool deal. Just Don being smart with him. The guy's older and being smart in his return to play because of his past injuries and kind of bad luck, to be honest with you. And some of those injuries have been very unique. We talked about that, especially the one 2 years ago. Just trying to get him to the fight and get him to the dance, and he's going to be a good special teams player, and he's kind of a backup role right now as safety.
Kind of have a connection with them?
I thought we had 2 questions left, Audi.
You kind of have a connection with Seth?
Do I have a connection with him?
Considering your college career, starting quarterback, ended up in the defensive backfield, right?
We do have that kind of going for us. Yeah. Seth's a better athlete than I was.
Hey, that makes me think of something. If there had been the transfer.
Don, you don't have the mic right now. Eric does. I'm just kidding. Come on.
Staying on that subject, following up on what David said. You said a couple of years ago that, I don't think you were real happy when you moved from quarterback to safety. If the transfer portal had been in play in the mid-1990s, do you think you would put your name in?
I could have grad transferred, but I didn't. I chose to stay. Yeah, backup DB, backup quarterback, 4 special teams plus the holder.
You didn't answer the question. What'd you do?
Jack of all trades, master of none. I didn't quit, and I didn't leave, and I could have, but I chose to stay and be with those guys that, I think there's always a brotherhood in the locker room and teammates, and there's things like that pull guys together, and that was certainly one for me, to be honest with you.
Finish with Eric, and then we'll go to a couple of Zoom questions.
Oh, cool. Forgot about Zoom.
Coach, what has Reggie done in his time, coming in not having the spring, obviously, and come in
Reggie
and
Pearson?
earn
Yeah.
that ability to start.
Yeah, Reggie's a good football player. He's a good open field tackler, very athletic, smart. I'm glad Reggie Pearson is a Tex Tech Red Raider. And you guys are going to like him. He's a good player, very active.
All right, we'll go to Zoom and we'll go to Sam Khan.
What's up, man?
Hi, hey Sam.
I just had a few. Since Eric's been back in August, how does he look physically, and how important is it just to have him on Saturday now that he's back?
Which Eric?
Eric Ezekama.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Easy's done well. He's, full speed, full go, making good catches, being a great teammate, being a great leader for us, and he's had a good training camp.
And when you look at Houston offensively, do they have a lot of similarities to you guys? I know Dana and Sonny have some similar roots. They obviously haven't been together for a long time, but given those similar roots, do you see some similarities in them, and does that help you guys at all?
You probably have to ask Coach Patterson. KP worked for Coach Holgerson for a couple years, and so he was certainly with him. Sonny's relationship, I think, is a moot point, to be honest with you, because it's opposite sides of that competition. It's really Houston's offense versus Texas Tech's defense. But you certainly see elements of the air raid. I think in both offenses you will, but that's this game's not about the coaches. I think any of the coaches would say that. Any of those three that I was just talking about, it's about the players, and even our familiarity with each other, I think certainly only goes so far. The game still comes down to making plays and who makes plays within the white lines, and I think that's a little bit more important than the coaching matchups.
The last one for me. You guys have had to have a couple of staff changes on your sports staff with recruiting and stuff like that. How has that been, just dealing with that, I guess, in the last month or so? I know this is not normally a time you have to do that type of stuff, but how has that been, and what do Bo and Kate bring to your staff?
Yeah, I'm excited about Bo and Kate. Bo's a real recruiter and a ball guy. Katy High School, played for a couple. Mike Johnston and Coach Joseph, two legends down there at Katy, and played here at North Texas, here in the state, and good to get him back. And he's a ball guy. He's got relationships with junior college coaches, high school coaches in the state. Kate's been around ball her whole life. The daughter of Coach Shealy, head coach there at Houston Baptist, and another coach's kid. We got a lot of coaches' kids that are hired in this building, and Kate gets it, and she just got here a couple days ago, so we're glad to have her on board, certainly.
All right, that'll wrap it for Coach. We'll have Tony Bradford here in a minute.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah. Thank you. Tony coming in here. Cool.
All right, hey, if you would help us with the mic, we are streaming that so people can hear questions. We'll go ahead and get started with Tony. Start with David Collier.
Have you had a chance to talk to Tayson or Keyshawn or Alex, I guess, and what's that going to be like going up against those guys this weekend?
It's going to be just like going against any other opponent, honestly. It's not much to say to those guys besides good luck. I'm not really interested in having a conversation with them until after the game.
Tony, in terms of what the offense is showing with UH, I guess
they have a veteran quarterback. I guess what are you all kind of focused on for them? Because they have a lot of skill position players, but it seems like the quarterback's kind of the focus because of his veteran leadership.
Yeah, what we're focused on, obviously, for the D-line's perspective, is stopping the run first and foremost. Don't give them a sense of hope that they think they're going to run the ball through the heart of the defense at all. And another thing is that since we know that the quarterback is a scrambler or whatever you want to call him, we got to make sure we keep him boxed up and contained at all times because he is dangerous with his feet.
From a player's perspective, I know you guys always want to say it's just another game, but is there a difference when you play in an NFL stadium compared to a college stadium, and what's that like for you?
Absolutely not. You know, it's football, no matter where it's performed at, whether it's inside or outside. NFL stadium, high school stadium, you still got to play with the same mindset and have the same techniques and, you know, come out with the same goal, and that's going 1-0.
Hey, Tony, we kind of talked about it before camp, but how do you feel about playing nose a lot more? And I know you're going to be playing other positions, but specifically at nose, what does that do for you?
I'm excited about it. I'm excited to show that I can play inside, outside, wherever you need me at, as long as my hand is in the dirt. That's all I care about. I think I'm just going to be able to just show that I'm not a typical nose guard that's just over 300 pounds is going to sit there just to clog the pile, and that's it. I'm going to be more active and more mobile than any other center, any other nose guard in the conference, and hopefully in football overall. And I think that'll surprise most centers that I play against.
What do you expect from the matchup from Houston's offensive line?
I expect them to play their best. I mean, I know this is a big game for them, just like it is for us. They're excited, we're excited, so I'm expecting them to come out and try to do everything they can to win, just like we're going to do everything we can to win.
Tony, obviously, no disrespect to Montana State or Houston Baptist, but what's the, I guess, big thing that you guys have to be ready for in terms of playing a quality Division I opponent week 1, as opposed to maybe working your way in with maybe a little bit of a lesser opponent?
Yeah, we just gotta be prepared for them to try something new, something that they probably haven't put on film of last season, because they are trying to win this game and everything like that. So we gotta be ready for if they do decide to show something new. We just gotta be able to focus on the sideline and be able to adjust in whether it's in halftime or on the sideline if Coach Patterson draws a new playbook or anything like that up. We just gotta be able to adapt and move around and do whatever it takes so that they don't catch us off guard with anything.
Just for you personally, whether it's year 1 or year 3, what's the excitement that game 1 just brings for you?
It's the first game. It's kind of the game that you want to go out there and set the tone and try to set the tone just to let everybody know the season and the mindset that you're trying to have and everything like that. So you want to go out there and just give it your all. But like I said, game 1, game 10, you got to go out there and perform to your best ability. So you just got to make plays and put production on the chart and just do your best.
I don't know if we've asked you yet, but how many family members do you have coming out to this one? I know it's going to be probably special for you being from that area.
Yeah, being from that area, it's going to be a lot of family members that I'm going to have at this game. Too many to count and way too many to probably provide tickets for.
Tony, you guys as a D-line front seven, where do you think you can really take advantage of Houston and really impact the game the most?
As far as where at?
Just you guys, where do you think you can whether it's going to correct something you see on the goal line, just where do you think you guys can really lead to a victory?
Firing off the ball and getting knocked back, dominating the line of scrimmage. I think that's what we're going to do this weekend, and I think that's what we can do best as a unit for the rest of the season.
Tony, the new guys who are transfers from the FBS, last year you had a bunch of guys, quite a few linebackers like Colin and Morgenstern and Brandon Randall. This year you have a bunch of defensive backs who have played elsewhere and started. What do you think is the main attribute that those players are bringing to your team, either in the locker room or on the field?
What they're bringing specifically is competitive depth. We had a lot of guys previous years that were comfortable because they knew that the younger guys or the guys below them, however you want to put it, couldn't really compete with them. And so they used to always slack in practice and everything like that. Well, since you bring older guys in, them guys come in with a different mindset and the expectation that they're going to come here and not only play but help us win some games, and so do the guys that was here before them. So what that does is keep everybody, locked in and dialed in as a player's perspective and everything, just to make sure that they continue to do what they got to do to get production and everything like that, because we're good with whoever's out there on the field. I mean, it's one of them things where it's a win-win situation where the guy feels as he's a 1 or a 2, but you can't take a day off or a practice off because your spot will get taken.
And on a lighter note, whose idea was Tony versus Jalen, and how much time do y'all spend either a preparing for that, or is it just kind of free flowing?
It's one of the things where it's just free. We try to do it every week because the camera crew here and everybody, Matt Dowdy and everything, likes it, and so do our friends, and so do we, and so do the guys in the locker room. They like being on camera, and we like having a good time with it. It's not always about being hardcore and about football every single day. Sometimes you want to come here and have a little bit of fun, and I think we do a great job of that.
Did you hear what Coach Randolph said about you guys?
What he said?
Y'all reminded him of a sitcom from my generation, of Sanford and Son.
From y'all generation?
Yeah.
Black and white generation? The old school TV shows.
Coach mentioned that one of the cool things about this game is that so many guys from both teams know each other from playing in high school, and obviously you being from the area. Like, how many guys from that roster do you feel like you know?
I know a few guys, but like I said, not really thinking about them or anything like that. I just want to go in and dominate, not even think about who's on that team besides the offensive line, and study them and make sure I know who I'm going against as far as them, so I can know the techniques and the moves that'll probably work against them guys. But other than that, I mean, I'm not making this about guys specifically, man. We got bigger things to worry about than just individual players on that team and stuff like that. It's a college football game. We're going to play it, and like I said, it don't matter where we're at or who we're playing. We're going to go out there and dominate.
Any other questions for Tony?
What do you feel like was the biggest improvement in the defensive line unit last year to this year?
A biggest improvement? Yeah. Competitive depth here. Guys are finally back healthy and everything like that. We're all ready to go. And like I said earlier, Coach Randolph has a win-win situation with whoever he decides to put out there for play 1, play 2, play 3, or whatever. He knows that he can trust every last one of us to do our assignments, do our job, and do it to our best ability and capability that we can. And man, that's the exciting part. We got competitive depth around here. So I can't take a play off. Jalen can't take a play off. We got to go out there and produce and get production and stuff like that if you want to stay out there on the field long.
Tyree Wilson's obviously a very big dude. It seems like a good athlete. What have you seen from him so far in camp now that he has a full offseason with the program under his belt?
I seen that he can finally be that run defender. When I first met him, I thought he was going to be a strictly guy that only knew how to pass rush and that's it. Not really know how to play the run. Well, now he done got bigger and stronger, and now he's actually sitting there holding his ground and winning the line of scrimmage in the run. And that's the exciting part about that, because that's just going to make him more ferocious against any offensive lineman that he goes against. And excited to see him play this season.
All right, they'll do it. Tony, we'll have Tyler here in a second.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Tyler, what's the message to your team now that you know that you're the starting quarterback, captain, and kind of all those things kind of wrapped into one?
Yeah, I mean, I think nothing changes. The message has been the same the whole time. You know, we know what we're capable of, and we're just excited to go out there and prove it. And and really just prove it to ourselves because, we've been playing and practicing really hard up to this point, been working hard. So I'm just excited to get out there and play with them.
From a general perspective, I guess, what are some things that have excited you about this offense that everyone keeps talking about Sonny Cumbie, bringing back the air raid? I guess, what are some things that have excited you going into this week now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Coach Cummings has been a huge piece of it, but really it's the guys on the team and on that offense. The wide receiver position is just extremely loaded. Like, you can pick any guy and throw it up to him and give him a great chance he's going to make a play. Our O-line is really experienced, a lot of tough guys, a lot of really talented guys. Tight end room is doing great. We've got Travis Kuntz, Mason Tharp, Henry Teeter, guys like Jason Lloyd. They're really supportive of each other, really physical. So, and the running back room as well. So it's been really fun playing in the backfield with them. So a lot of talent, a lot of guys who really have a chip on their shoulder, including myself, and really want to go out there and prove ourselves right and what we can do.
Cougars bring back a lot on the defensive end. What's either impressed you or stood out to you when you kind of look at film about what they're able to do with those experienced guys?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they play really hard. They have really explosive guys on the D-line, really fast guys outside the corner. They play together. They're experienced, like you said. They got some guys returning, so it's definitely going to be a challenge, but we're up for it, and we're really excited to get out there and play.
So a lot of teams have easier games heading into those first ones, kind of ease into the year. What do you like about playing a team the caliber of Houston? So it's a little higher pressure for that first game.
Yeah, we love it. We love the pressure. They're obviously a great team. Got a lot of guys coming back on both sides of the ball, so they're really experienced. They're an in-state team. I know a lot of guys are from Texas as well, from Houston. So, but really for us and for myself, it's just another nameless, faceless opponent. We really don't care who it is. We just want to go out there and play and have fun and get better each game.
Wells has mentioned, I know it's kind of become a thing among the fan base with this year with all the realignment talks, just taking it personal and whatnot. What does that mean for this game specifically, just being on kind of the Texas kickoff game, of one of the bigger matchups of week one? What does that really mean for that type of matchup with that in the background?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it is what it is, I guess. We really don't pay too much attention to that. It's like I said before, it's just, it's who we're playing week one, and they're a tough opponent, and, we're doing everything we can to prepare for them and to win that game.
And some of the talent and height outside on offense, how does that change, or does it, your mentality in terms of being willing to pull the trigger?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it definitely helps it. I mean, I feel supremely confident in them and in our guys. So it's, I mean, regardless of the situation, third down, open downs, whatever it is, I feel confident in them that they're going to make a play regardless of the situation. And it's great to have that feeling as a quarterback, and you can really give the ball to the playmakers out there on the field.
Coach mentioned that one of the big matchups will be your offensive line versus their defensive line. How do you feel like they've progressed this offseason through fall camp?
Yeah, I mean, tremendously. I mean, from watching them on film last year to practicing with them every single day, it's tremendous improvement. I mean, obviously those guys are extremely talented. They're huge guys. They're quick. They're really quick twitchy. TJ Storman's another addition out there at left tackle. Caleb Rogers has gotten so much better. He's really, he's been amazing. Josh Berger, Dawson Deaton, Weston Wright, those guys, it's really fun to watch them play, and when they communicate well together, they're hard to beat.
Obviously, Tyler, you talked about how the message is the same now that you're the starter. Is there any way that you've kind of taken a step forward, or any benefit that you've gotten from getting those full uninterrupted first team reps now?
I wouldn't say it's nothing dramatic. I've kind of prepared myself throughout this whole offseason as that way, and as if I'm going to be the starter, just because that was my mindset. Regardless of it, is that if I'm the backup, if I'm the starter, I'm prepared the same way. So I kind of learned that from my time at Oregon. So for really me personally, I was doing everything I can to get better every single day, and nothing that doesn't change now that I'm named the starter. It really just means more to myself, that I have to go out there and prove myself right and prove others wrong.
From your perspective, what does game one represent for you now? New start, new team, kind of just overall fresh start for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome to get back out there, especially with a group of coaches, group of players, who are really hungry to get out there and do the best that we can. And we, like I said, we really have that chip on our shoulder from past years, of struggles, of successes. So we're definitely really excited.
Would you say installing that offense since the spring, really, do you feel like you guys are really clicking now heading into game week?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, there's really no play, no scenario where I feel like we're kind of uncomfortable with. I've like I said before, I have complete trust in them. O-line, wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, pick up any blitz, to run the right route at correct depth, and really just need to put it out there and trust them. So I've already felt like I had great chemistry in spring ball coming in just right away because the amount of off-season work we put in, and then now to really have it come to fruition during fall camp and hopefully during the season is really fun.
Obviously, every game is important, but how huge would it be to get a win, just this being your first game as a Red Raider, and just for your team moving forward?
Yeah, it's awesome. That's what we work for. Week one, we're trying to go 1-0 this week, and we're trying to do everything that we can to get this win. And obviously, it'd be huge just because it's the first game, it's the next game, so we're definitely ready.
You talked about the receivers a bit, but how important is it to have a guy like Easy, like an all Big 12 receiver, in that first game, knowing you have a major target you can go to in Big?
Yeah, he's been a leader of that group. He's kind of been a veteran guy who's played a lot of games, who guys can really go up and talk to. He's been one of my best friends that I've been able to work with since I got here, and really kind of recruited me here throughout the whole process. So he's been awesome. He's always going to be open. He's always going to be that guy who's really consistent day in and day out. And so are all the other receivers. They really kind of taken it upon themselves, whether they're young or they're veteran guys like KG coming in or JJ Sparkman, who really just kind of made tremendous bounds over the offseason. So they're ready to go, and I'm really excited to see what they can do.
Obviously, I know the pass catchers can be a safety net for quarterbacks, whether it's tight ends, wide receivers, whatever. What about this, whether Roderick plays or not, this running back core? What have you seen from them as far as helping you, whether it's they're blocking their ability just to make plays by just handing it off to them? What have you seen from that group to help you out?
Oh, they're explosive, and they're really smart too. Roderick, X-White, Taj, they all have really good game experience. They're all battle tested. They're all really hungry as well. So it's been awesome just because they take a little bit of weight off your shoulders, like you said, being able to hand them the ball, trust them in pass protection. So they're all really cerebral players, but they're also really physically talented. It's been awesome to see in practice the plays that they make, and I've already seen it in games prior to. So I think it's going to be a big breakout year for all three of them.
Tyler, we obviously focus primarily on what you're doing on the field, but I was curious what your adjustment has been like off the field since you moved from halfway across the country a little less than 6 months ago. Obviously, you're a high-profile player, a lot of expectations on you. When you leave the building, how has your just adjustment been, kind of finding your way around and getting accustomed to a new environment?
It's been great. I love the city of Lubbock. I love the people here. I was going somewhere because I wanted to go somewhere to play football and really ultimately get better on that team and get better at football and hopefully go to the NFL. I didn't really care, what the city was, but finding and living here and kind of being around it more, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the state of Texas, so it's been awesome. My adjustment's been great. My approach has been, the same, if not even more. Just kind of diving into football now that I'm, a grad student, having more time on my hands to focus in on football, to focus in on my craft, focusing on my mindset and my personal life and my spiritual life. So it's really kind of been a all ramping of just what I can do to get better this offseason.
And also, I guess a few guys have mentioned your dedication to football and how much you are all in on the sport, and have talked about how you spend a lot of time up here. What time do you normally leave the building and actually turn it off and go home?
Yeah. So I live right across the street, so it's kind of nice being I just have my little scooter so I can kind of come and go as I please. But I usually don't leave till like 9 o'clock or whenever some of the coaches leave or something like that. So I usually try and stay here just because, I'm just going to go home and go on your phone or watch TV or watch film there. So I might as well stay here and where I have a lot of resources. That's something that it's obviously a balance that you have to figure out, because something that I learned last year is you don't want to put your whole life into football to where your happiness and your soul kind of drive is dependent on that, because I know that's just what I do right now. It's not who I am. So kind of having my faith rooted in other things, in God specifically, and then obviously my family and friends has been super key throughout this whole process, and meeting great guys on the team as well has been awesome. So definitely kind of taking what I've learned in the past and just applied it here, but understanding that I'm here for because I want to win, and I want to do everything I can to help this team win in football.
Who are you rooming with?
I'm living by myself right now. Yeah, so I have my own apartment. I was originally living with Rico Jeffers in his house when I first got here, but I have my own apartment now just because it's easier. It makes things work just for me as a grad student. But I live right next to all the guys on the team, and I'm really home. I'm usually out getting food or hanging out with them at some point, so I like it.
What stands out about Houston's defensive scheme?
They're really sound. I feel like At least, obviously, we don't know exactly what they're going to do with the new DC, but I guess in years past, it's nothing too crazy, but they really play well together. They're really fiery, like I said before. They got really strong physical guys who play fast. So really, it's just been trying to figure out what we can do and what we can execute to the best that we can. Obviously, whoever you play, that's what it's going to come down to. Any defense, any offense can scheme up whatever they want to, but if you don't run it well, if you don't run your base plays well, then it's not going to work. So obviously, we're going to do everything that we can to prepare ourselves to win, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to players executing.
Have any other questions? Okay, we'll finish with choice in the very back.
So I know you're new here, but how much freedom do you have at the line right now before the season starts as far as checks and audibles?
I'd say a lot of freedom. I think it really just depends on how what I see and what the O-line sees. We have great communication with each other as far as coming up, and I think that's built into the offense as well as getting out of a bad play, getting out of a bad situation into a better one. It's complete freedom just as far as, I'm doing everything I can to build my knowledge of this offense, and really just kind of base it off of what they're doing. So I think there's full freedom in that. And I'm really excited to go out there and really just put out and play. And really, obviously, nothing's going to be perfect, but as far as my knowledge this offseason of defenses and in previous, I felt that I'm ready for it. And if not, then we're going to make adjustments. So definitely have more freedom than usual in the past. So I'm definitely excited.
All right. Thanks, pal.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
There is food over in the FGC. They just got it set up. So please eat. We'd love for you to stay and eat. Y'all head that way.